How you guys been? How you guys been doing?
Yeah,
good.
Right.
This episode's coming out the week we recorded it, so that's
so we decided to talk to make another topical episode.
Most recent, you'll see.
Yeah. And I guess like one of the most recent topical things that has happened, not just like in the previous like 2 weeks, but it seems to be keep happening now, is YouTubers ruining Japan. That is not us.
Hey, well, we started.
We started it.
Right.
No. Let's give our shout out to the OG Logan Paul for starting off the trend.
Only time you'll ever get a shout out.
Such a good job that Chris had to go on national TV and coin the iconic "Are you YouTuber?"
Yeah.
To apologize and show that YouTubers are kind of normal sometimes.
He's a trendsetter.
Yeah. Well, where is Chris now when we need him most on national television to tell everyone that YouTubers aren't bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's been a big thing. Obviously, there's the famous one with Johnny Somali, which we didn't talk about, and I didn't talk about at all, and I think most of us didn't because
we didn't want to give him more attention while he was still
it seemed like he kind of thrived off getting attention on Kick and causing all these like terrible kind of...
trust me, I would have made 10-second channel videos on him, but then I thought to myself, no, this is exactly what he wants. And I guess this is exactly what he wants.
He was fueling off it, and then now obviously he's been arrested. And
Twice.
Yeah, because Japan has this... Well, I mean, it's actually kind of terrifying. It's a really weird system. They can hold you for 28 days. Is it maybe correct? 28 or 24, I can't remember how many. And then before they have to charge you anything, obviously in most Western countries, the UK and US, I think it's 24 or 48 hours. I think it's 48 before they have to charge you with anything. So it's kind of terrifying that they can like, in Japan, they can hold you for 28 days. They can ruin your life because, if you don't show up to work, you can't talk to anyone. You can't contact anyone except your lawyer. And so you're in this system, and then they have this amazing thing that they can do, which I don't know how they're allowed to do this. This is insane to me. If you don't get charged in that period, they can just charge you with something else the moment that period is up, which is what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Listen, some people karma hits very well for, but sometimes you're like, man, I wish the system wasn't fucked though as well. But you're like, damn, but it is nice to see when the fucked system is kind of used in a kind of useful way to target someone who's just a scourge on the earth.
So if you don't know who Johnny Somali is, if you are not in tune with, I guess, the streamer culture, good on you.
Well done.
But
you touch grass.
Yeah, he was a streamer that blew up on Kick a while ago.
Well, Kick was Kick. Banned from the other platforms, I believe.
Yeah, I believe he got banned from the other platforms, and he made a name for himself by basically going out to the streets of Japan and, to put it simply, harassing people. Just straight up. Just straight up, if you'd heard about one of those guys who are like just shouting Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the middle of a fucking train.
Oh no, I just remember I did make a video on that first incident.
You're the first guy
you did.
Yes, the first one where he was on the train and he was blasting music and then he went up to a random just innocent salaryman in Japan and was just like, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, do you remember it? We'll do it again. I fucking tell you. And I'm like, what, do you have like government connections? Like what where is this confidence coming from?
The sad thing about that guy is everyone's like, well, I'm sure he's just a tourist. Like, no, he's been living here 8 years.
Yeah.
And then doesn't speak any Japanese, and then also I guess was like a 40-year-old man essentially. He was
no, that's a different one.
What?
Yeah, that's a different one. You're talking about the other kid,
the guy who's like blasting Skrillex. Why is there so many of them?
Yeah, that's so that was the first one I did. I didn't mention him by name, and I'm still not going to because he deserves no attention. But then I actually did do the first Johnny Somali incident where he talked about the Hiroshima Nagasaki shit.
Well, that was bad because like that immediately made news in Japan.
Yeah.
And
naturally.
Yeah, that one was interesting. That was where listen, Japanese people online, if you give them a reason to think that they can say what they want to say, holy shit, did they say some heinous shit. The comments I was seeing were fucking awful.
Yeah, if you thought 4chan was bad, you've never been on 2chan.
I've never seen such. I mean, I've seen a Western thing. But holy shit, the open racism was crazy on the Japanese side.
Yeah,
because they just felt justified in being racist in a way.
That's the one reason when I decided to move to Japan, I didn't make a Japanese channel.
Oh, okay. Well, I've heard
because
from
I was
other
like,
people.
because I used to be on 2chan when I was in high school because I was dumb as shit and I had too much time on my hands. And I saw, my God, it made the Newgrounds forums look like a playground. Like it was bad. And I was like, well, if I say anything bad, they're gonna take one look at this face and they go, stupid gaijin, probably the tamest thing they'll say, and then they'll just cancel me off the face of the earth. over nothing probably. But this one was definitely this whole Johnny Somali thing and all the other ones he was involved in.
He was inciting action and violence. There has been plenty of incidents where, he just like get punched by random people in the streets.
Yeah, there was that, I think, the Australian dude who knocked out his friend and then hit.
Yeah,
good.
Which was great.
He's doing the Aussies
great
proud.
to see.
And like this is coming straight out of just finishing Vinland Saga season 2, where you're like, I have no enemies, and you're like, wait though. Violence actually, I don't condone. It's that moment where you're like, so I don't condone violence, but it is kind of expected when you do stuff like he probably watched Vinland Saga and was like, I have no enemies, and he was just like, bet.
I mean, it's easy to feel no ill will towards people until there's someone like that in front of you, where you're like, actually, I do hate some people.
Yeah.
I think some people suck.
Some people deserve a punch in the face,
Yeah.
And so obviously he kept pushing it. Was just doing them straight up crimes on camera.
Yep.
And then got arrested, and that was cool. And then recently there was so the thought process, I think, currently with Johnny Somali is I think they are going to charge him with something. Obviously, Japan has, I think, again, this is all like, I think I know this, but I'm not 100% sure. If you are a foreigner or a foreign national in Japan and you get charged with over 1 year of a crime, you are automatically deported.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you get over a year sentence, they just, instead of serving it in Japan, because why would the fuck would they want to deal with you? They just send you out. If it's less than a year, I think you serve it in Japan.
Yeah, and I think he got arrested because he snuck into a construction site.
Trespassing was the first one, and the second one
and then he was harassing the workers.
Yeah, it was being a nuisance in a business, which is super vague.
Yeah.
And I feel like any of us could be like, if you go in anywhere with a camera, you could be arrested of that. It's kind of I will admit, on the Japanese side, they are grasping at straws to keep this man in jail.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, for this scenario, you're like, oh, this is great. But also it's kind of scary at the same time that you're like, if you just piss off the wrong government person, you could just be in jail for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, but at the same time, it was kind of like, this is the bare definition of fuck around and find out.
Oh, 100%.
He was fucking around as much as he possibly could.
Yeah.
And he found out. And the thing that worries me is that this will set the wrong kind of like expectations and precedent, because I saw like it's rare that a Western kind of like content creator makes news in the Japanese sphere. He's even like
For a good reason.
yeah, exactly.
Well, another streamer was in jail for 30 days, but wasn't charged with anything because they were trespassing. I think, I don't know if they were streaming, but they were at the Fukushima nuclear exclusion zone.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yes.
But that was... That didn't get nearly as much backlash as this did, which is kind of crazy in a weird way. Because
why do you think that is?
I just think it's the nuisance. He was such an easy person to hate.
The Japanese government, or it was the Japanese public just being like, "Don't worry, the radiation will get him eventually."
No.
We don't have to do it. It's like we don't have to do it. So we don't have to do anything.
No, because they're doing so much.
Nature is taking its course.
Well, wait. Okay, that's an insult to everyone, Jerry.
Okay. If
I'm just joking.
Look. I know why. Okay, because like trespassing, it's just like doesn't really affect me. You see a clip of someone being loud on a train, and I think Japanese people are like, we found public enemy number one.
That is very visceral for Japanese people.
That is, it goes against everything the Japanese are built on.
And then he starts shouting out Hiroshima and Nagasaki being a public nuisance. This, like, he is the complete antithesis of what Japan as a society accept, especially in public.
Absolutely, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Yeah,
because we had like the other YouTuber, I don't know if you saw this, about a guy who went around Japan, and he was like, the YouTube video, I believe, was like, how I traveled around Japan for free.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was the most recent one.
Yeah.
But, okay, first of all, though, this guy's YouTube channel, I don't name it, but he has this one thumbnail where it's like, I survived the poorest place on earth. And it's just like a white dude surrounded by like 20 black kids, and it's like, what is this? You are a human plague. You are insufferable. You are so fucking useless. No. You provide less to humanity than the barnacles on shipping boats. You are such a useless person.
That's one of those thumbnails I just wish you were joking about.
It's just
like, it's so fucked up that like it's insane you didn't make that up. you know?
Yeah. The zero level of awareness as a human being to upload that and be like, I'm okay with this, blows my mind. Yeah. But yeah, so he did. It
was like 11 days, I think, or something in the video. Or like a week.
He did what we did with our video, which is traveling from like the most southern point of Japan to the most northern point of Japan.
He definitely faked 90% of it because he sneaks getting on the bullet train. And if you've ever been on a bullet train,
you can't do that.
There's absolutely no shot he's pulling that off. There's you might be able to maybe get through the gate, but it would be so tough.
Like it's not the New York subway. You can't just like jump the gate willy-nilly.
Fuck
you know,
no.
It is like there are at least like in most like major train stations where you can get the Shinkansen, there's at least like 2 or 3 dudes who are there making sure you get on.
There's one train that you don't want to even attempt fucking around with and trying to pull that shit on. That one, you will 100% get caught.
It's like trying to sneak on a plane, you know? It's like, it doesn't happen.
It's very, very like tough. So I believe because even in the video, he just happens to spawn on the train.
Yeah.
And it obviously clearly fake. But one thing he did do is that I think the thing that pissed me off most about this video is that he was just begging Japanese people for money.
Yeah.
When he was already like making money from this video.
Yeah.
And you know, people it just sucks to know that a lot of people here really push themselves and work horrible working hours for really bad pay. And then some fucking asshole comes along, asks them for like $20,
and I've
gets
definitely,
it, and then just makes $1,000 off it anyway.
Yeah, and I think he definitely knew that is like a very like Japanese thing to do, which is like obviously try and help others in need, especially a foreigner in somewhere like Tokyo, right? Where like there are probably a lot of foreigners who come to like these big cities, don't know how to get around, and you know maybe ask for like directions, and sometimes maybe even ask for like some change or whatever, right? So like, and the whole idea of like Japanese people like helping out the greater community or helping out others, being a good Samaritan is very like ingrained in a lot of Japanese people's minds.
I think most people will help you out if they hear you have no money here.
And so taking advantage of that to make a video which you are going to make money off of anyway, also aiding this person in doing illegal shit is just the most scummy fucking thing you can do.
Yeah, and that obviously made news in Japan as well. It was pretty popular. It's just frustrating because it's like, okay, a lot of goodwill that has been built up from humans in general. It's like, oh, let's just squander it.
We're out here fighting the fucking good fight, making sure foreigners get a good name for themselves here, and then just a couple of
we go through so much red tape, like fighting tooth and nail, fighting for our lives just to get permission filming in a place.
All it takes is one person to bring it all down.
Because like, I mean, obviously there's like, I think the thing that pissed me off, right, is not just like, okay, his like Africa video, of course it was like what you would call a dick move, right? But then there's like with the Japan video, he's just straight up breaking laws. Yeah. Right? It's just
I think at one point in the video he gets on the bus and
gets on the bus and just refuses to pay, and then just gets like escorted to the police station or something like that.
Yeah, I think he thought they were going to drop it because it was 80 yen in the video. Yeah. He had begged someone for 600 yen or something, and the fare was 680 yen. So it's about like a 50 cent, 40 cent difference. Yeah. And I think in the video he thought he was just going to drop it. Yeah. But in Japan, it's not how it works.
You can't barter.
And worst, maybe the best case scenario for you, the bus driver might feel so sorry for you as like a pathetic human cockroach that you are, and he'd give you the 80 yen to pay. Yeah. But then it's like, even then it's like none of these scenarios make you like a human being that is nice or has any productive tendencies at all. I just think you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah, there isn't a single person who looked at that and was like, oh, it's so nice for the bus driver to like, spare him that 80 cents change. He's probably living a hard life. No. In Japan, it's probably like, can't cough it up, fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not getting off. That's just, you follow by the rules in this country. And if you don't follow by the rules, then you're fucked.
Yeah. Goddamn. And yeah, like you say, it pisses me off when you see someone, or you see like content creators kind of like taking advantage of the goodwill of just like how non-confrontational Japanese people are, right? Because it's like sometimes you see this in other countries and you're like, oh, there is no shot some of this content would be gotten away with if you filmed this in America or something.
That's why I don't feel like if I ever saw a video like this in the UK, I'd be like, I'm not worried. If he pulled that shit on someone, I'm sure someone he'd fuck around and find out.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Which is like why I think a lot of people are like, I don't care if he does this anywhere else. And it's like here, it's like, for fuck's sake, like don't. What are you doing? These people are too nice to you. You're a human plague.
Yeah, exactly. And we've we talk from experience when we've gone through enough red tape and red hoops, not you, Joe, but even to get like visas to work here and trying to instill something new, like a new idea to like, especially like older Japanese people. And it's so annoying when I see the coverage that these kinds of like content creators get, where there is so many people out there that are trying to do things the right way, that have been trying to do things the right way. I mean, I can't imagine anyone who's more pissed about this than Chris is, considering how much he's worked to change the perspective of YouTubers and content creators in Japan.
And that's the shitty thing, right? Is that like negative press is always going to just have a wider attraction, no matter where the country or the culture is. And it's definitely the case here because, people like Chris and people like, us can do the best things for the country and, try and put a positive impact on how Japanese people, especially the older generation, not only just view content creators like YouTubers and Twitch streamers, but also just like foreigners living here, trying to make an honest living in general. All for, a pat on the back, maybe less shit talking behind the scenes. Meanwhile, you do one fucking bad thing and you get your face plastered on the front page of NHK.
Do you think do you think we're gonna continue seeing more of these kinds of people?
Oh God, I hope not. But
I think so. Sadly,
I think it's going to happen because I think these two examples especially have just shown.
There have been multiple examples. Like we've talked about.
Yeah.
But,
you get instant views if you do this shit in Japan.
Yeah.
If you did this shit in Florida, you'd be the least insane person in Florida. So like it just doesn't. You don't get anything out of it. So people come to Japan to do this.
The scary thing is, I think what might happen. I really hope this doesn't happen. Is not only are there going to be more people who are doing this in Japan, but there are going to be more people who are just doing this in Asia in general.
Yeah.
Because I think like it's already a kind of an idea, as you said, like, if you did that in places like the UK or America, no one would bat an eye.
No one fucking gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. But if you do it in a country like Asia, where like the way that the culture operates is different and it's, fucking something else for people to see of like, how would you be able to do it in Korea or how would you be able to do it in like Thailand,
I think the concern has been that they might try and pass some laws around it. But I don't know. Japan's very weird about passing laws. They either do it really fast, stealthily, or they make a big public
it takes
thing.
10 years.
10 years, we might do it. We're thinking about it. Hey guys, what do you think? Like, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. I don't know what they could change. Because if they could do a law that was like only foreigners are not allowed to do it, they'd do it. I think they would.
Yeah.
But I think because YouTube is really well built up in Japan. I think Japanese YouTubers have been very, very mainstream for a very long time, and have been making YouTube seem like a much more kind of. I think YouTube is almost
viable platform.
Yeah, and I think in some senses, like Japan has really adopted YouTube culture really well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In its own sense. So I don't think they would be very, very hastily rushing through something half baked. I think if they were to do something, they'd figure it out. Because I think right now, the way that filming in public works in Japan is that you can film in public if it's without needing to blur anyone or do anything like that if it's not for commercial purposes. But obviously if it is, it's a lot more complicated and you have to get permission and stuff like that. It's kind of tough. It's a really weird spot right now.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I think there should be at least a line drawn in the sand by the actual platforms.
That's probably
if you break a law and you film it, surely that is like
I mean there's a platform now that has just invited all that in, so it's kind of hard. I think you'd think the platforms would do better. I'm surprised YouTube, they only just took down his video. I'm surprised they didn't do.
Why is it that like people get a pass when it's filmed, but they don't get a pass when it's not filmed? Like, how does that make sense?
It's so bizarre with YouTube and how they enforce their rules, because like sometimes they'll be so strict on someone and they'll clamp down, and other people they get like a slap on the wrist, obviously with the whole doxing situation of recent. That was like one where it was like, okay, YouTube, this is a really weird stance to take, and also took forever. It's really odd how these platforms really are very slow to the ball sometimes.
Well, they just need to stop playing favoritism, right? Which is the impossible task to ask for.
It's like I think obviously I think they are doing something kind of right, because I've seen what happens when you go the kind of like opposite direction, and when there are clear biases with a platform like Twitch. you know, where you try to please a certain amount of creators and you piss off everyone in the process, you know, because
I think because sometimes, you know, on Twitch and other, I guess Twitch more so because Twitch is a bit more personal and there's less big creators. Because YouTube has so many creators.
YouTube has so many creators
that are huge.
Yeah.
Right. And there are a lot of creators who bring in, there are, I think, like tens of thousands of creators who bring in over $1 million of revenue a year, which is a lot of people that bring in a substantial amount of money, right? And none of these people you want to take away all their ads from because that's a lot of money that YouTube loses that YouTube needs because holy shit does YouTube cost a lot of money to run. But on Twitch, like I've noticed that like you definitely, if you're a creator that is bigger and you have a very good track record, you definitely get the benefit of the doubt with certain things, or they'll be like, okay, just be careful next time.
Yeah.
Because you have that track record and you are a bit more favorable. But obviously, it's such a fine thing to do that because if you give too much leeway, then a lot of the audience from other audiences that might see this might be like, what the fuck? Connor got his cock out. Why isn't he banned? That's fucked up. I think there's a case that people were really calling for a ban recently where a streamer was driving while texting. And they were kind of like they had a very good rap.
Yeah.
And it took a little while for them to get the ban, but I think everyone unanimously was like, they should get a ban for this.
Yeah.
That's just dangerous.
That's just,
and I think if that didn't happen, and I think it only happened because of the sheer amount of like people being like, you have to give this person a ban. There's a horrible precedent.
Yeah, it's the community pressure, right?
Yeah. But I think if the pressure wasn't there, I don't think it would have happened. Because it took like 2 or 3 days for the ban to come through, if I recall correctly.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of instances of like a creator, you know, YouTube, Twitch or whatever, doing something that is very questionable. You know, sometimes just straight up, you know,
there's also the inverse as well.
Yeah, caught red-handed. And it's not until it gets enough attention from the community, whether that be on like Twitter or, you know, just YouTube in general, for YouTube to finally be like, oh, they did a bad thing. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll do what you guys said. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, it really depends. I don't really fully understand how it works, but I've just noticed that sometimes you get a little goodwill here and there.
Yeah.
Well, but it's just how it works, right?
Well, it reminds me of like that one TikToker a while ago. He was like British, I believe. Who just filmed himself breaking and entering into like people's houses. And stealing dogs and just like literally committing crimes to the point where he got arrested and like
he was in court and the judge asked him if he was going to do it again. He was like, yeah. And he did.
Yeah, and like the problem is like
oh my God.
The problem is somehow someone like this who is clearly like not even like being a dick, but just like breaking laws. This is a new level now. This is like someone is breaking the laws of the country you're in, and they can get away with it just because
TikTok looked at it and went like, yeah, but do you see how many fucking views this gets though?
That one, these kids in America were filming themselves doing hit and runs.
What?
And they killed a police officer because they hit him on a bicycle.
Oh, I heard about this.
They were filming it. And then when they got arrested, they were like, nah, it's not that serious though, right?
Oh, yeah. I think I saw this. Yeah.
And like, what?